Good evening. Welcome to Delivering on Plan Belize, where we sit down with members of the House of Representatives and discuss candidly their lives, their policies, and their plans for Belize. I'm your host, Julissa Torres, and you're watching Delivering on Plan Belize. Joining us today is Honorable Anthony Mahler, Minister of Tourism and Diaspora Relations. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So to better understand our guests, we would like to start with some background information. Your portfolio, as we mentioned before, currently extends to the Ministry of Tourism and Diaspora Relations. But can you talk to us a little bit about your life before politics?
How far back do you want to go?
Way before.
Okay, well, I'm a Belize City boy. I'm a Belize City man. I grew up running around all of Belize City, playing top, marble, sports, you name it. So I've born and raised in Belize. When I was young, I didn't used to travel much, so all my exposure was here in Belize. And so in Belize City, both north side and south side, I used to be running around all over the place. So my roots are truly here in Belize City.
Okay, and can you tell me a little bit about your schooling?
Well, I graduated from SJC Sixth Form, and I went to Valdosta State in Georgia.
Okay.
And then I got a master's in global management, and then another master's in financial analysis. So, and that's pretty much my educational background.
Okay, and politics, has it been something that was a part of your life, or did you ever see yourself becoming a politician?
Well, when I was younger, I wasn't much into the politics. I always saw myself as a rebel. No? I pushed the envelope, I rebelled against the status quo. I wanted to see change, but I've always been socially conscious. My father used to watch a lot of documentaries with myself, and also a lot of programs with regards to what was happening around us in Central America. And he was a union man, so I was exposed to the union from a very young age. And so that gave me, I guess, the drive to ensure that we fight for the common man and woman here in Belize.
So how did your political career start? Can you take us to the beginning of it?
Well, I would want to say it started through sports.
Through sports?
So yeah, I'm an avid sportsman. I love any ball that you can throw in a hoop or kick or bat or anything like that. I just love sports, and so growing up, I used to always try to organize teams. From when I was young, but you always had a shortage of resources. So if you're playing basketball, you might have to sew your own uniform, you print your own stuff, and then as you grow, you wanted to wear the nice sneakers when you're playing, or nice boots when you're playing football, and so that allowed me to start to give back when I started to work, and when I came back from college here in this. So when I started to, there was a program that I did, or I've been doing for many years, called Belize City Mundialito. And what we do is to, right at the MCC, we have about anywhere between 8 to 12 teams on a Saturday for probably about 3.5 months. And we provide uniforms, we provide boots, we provide all the equipment that they need in a safe environment. So you have almost probably 250 children under the age of 13 playing football and having good, clean fun and learning the discipline of teamwork and working hard and that type of thing. And so that's where it started. And most of it was the money that I raised, or my own money. And as you go along and you want to do more, so I've invested in football and volleyball and basketball and cycling and ping pong and all of these things. You realize that your own personal resources may not be enough to make an impact. And so the only way you can make a huge impact on the masses, creating policy for the betterment of Belize, is through the political process. And that's when I started to look at it, maybe around 2004 or 5, somewhere there. And that's where my political career started.
Okay, interesting. So from sports to politics,
Yes.
It's a very interesting trajectory you have there. So tourism took a severe hit during COVID-19. What recovery strategies did your ministry implement, and what have the results been since you took office?
Well, I must commend my tourism stakeholders for withstanding 2 years of COVID. It has been brutal on them. A lot of them have struggled immensely and are still struggling, but we've worked hard to get back to some level of normalcy. So as we got in November of 2020, my first job was to develop a tourism recovery strategy, and then that translated into a national economic strategy as well. Tourism represents 40% of the GDP, most of the foreign exchange that we earn, a lot of the employment, and a lot of the investments that go in, whether real estate or construction, are tourism based. And so my focus was to get back, consult with the private sector, and work hard. So the things that I focused on was to build back air routes into Belize. And we're down, remember the airport was pretty much closed. And so no airlines coming in, and many were going through their own struggles and tribulations. And so we had to talk to them, we had to court a lot of them to come back. And I'm glad to say that we have surpassed, in terms of capacity coming into Belize now, we have surpassed the 2019 levels that we have and that we had back then. On the other hand, we have cruise tourism, and so we continuously spoke to the cruise lines. We worked on the protocols for them to be able to sail within the region safely, and so we're a part of that process. And I'm glad to say that our stance here in Belize, under some criticism from certain quarters, we said we were going to embrace the cruise lines because we believed that the protocols would help us and our people remain safe. And so cruise and overnight, we work hard. We also worked with the Ministry of Health tirelessly, and we established our own gold standards for hotels, and also the training of people to ensure that they are able to work in the industry and greet people and take care of people in the best way possible. We also revamped the entire marketing strategy, and so we went after the source markets where we have direct flights from, and then the connecting flights. So we reverse engineered everything in terms of marketing, and now we're seeing the benefits from that. Right now we're about 80 or 90% of where we were 2019 in terms of overnight arrivals, and by the end of this year we should be at around 90 to 95% of cruise. I believe that this year we should be able to get 2 or 3 new air routes into Belize, which is going to be big as well. I strongly believe that airline capacity for the overnight sector is the lifeblood of the industry. It puts heads in beds, as they say, and so that takes up the occupancy in hotels. People buy more food, they take more tours, they look around, see Belize for a longer period of time, they fall in love with it, they buy real estate, they come invest in a condo house. Next thing you know, they're building a resort, and that's how we've seen the expansion over the last 20 or 30 years or so.
Could you tell us more about product development and why you think it's important in advancing our tourism industry?
Well, for the most part, people think about marketing Belize, but to market a product, the product has to be packaged properly. And for far too often, we've forgotten the product development side of things. Good for Belize that you have a minister who has a degree in marketing. So I understand marketing, and I've done marketing for many years in my life. And I was one of the first or second director of product development here in Belize. So I understand both and how they are connected. And so it is important for us to improve our aerodomes. It is important for us to improve the international airport, to improve the transportation system, whether it be by sea, air, or land. it is important for us to improve the roadways that we have, the signage that we have, the infrastructure, the hotel infrastructure, the restaurants, all the food and beverage, bars, gift shops, marinas, all of these things contribute to what we consider to be the infrastructure of the tourism industry or the product of the tourism industry.
Okay. So product development is more so infrastructure than it is in marketing, you'd say? Or is this what you do before marketing?
Well, a combination of both.
Combination of both.
Yeah, because then you have the natural assets that we have. They are the reef, the rainforest. We also have the diversity of our cultures, and so our languages, food, dance, music, the way we live. Many people around this world travel to immerse themselves in the cultures and to have a life-fulfilling experience for their vacation or just business travel.
So Diaspora Relations, that's a new portfolio within the Ministry of Tourism. Could you tell me what's important about strengthening the ties that we have with the diaspora? Why is that a goal of yours?
Well, diaspora is important from a tourism standpoint and from an overall development standpoint. We have many Belizeans all around this world who are well trained, they have a lot of experience. They have gone around the world and improve themselves, and they have money now. And so literally the diaspora is important to the economy of Belize. On an annual basis, I think remittances, that number is somewhere around 270 to 275, officially through the banking system, 275 million Belize dollars. And I believe it's more because you have people who send a barrel, bottom of the barrel, and have a envelope or something with money in there, send money with their friends or families for their people down here in Belize. And so they're important. And we saw the importance of the diaspora during COVID. A lot of Belizeans came back home. In fact, when the unemployment rate was around 30% and unemployment around 35%, the diaspora sent more money during that time to support their loved ones here in Belize. And we believe that they are a critical part of the developmental process of our nation. They are exposed, like I said, and they have a natural affinity to love Belize. Most of them do, at least. Like we said, they have the navel string tied to Belize, right? And that is important for us. But we believe that they should have the respect of the government. They do a lot for Belize. And so we want to have a continuous dialogue, a respectful dialogue with them, and to have that level of connection with them.
Okay. And you've also been conducting visits to major U.S. cities that have a very strong Belizean population.
Yeah.
I believe the most recent was in Los Angeles and Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a bit more about those visits and what the result was like? What was the feedback from the diaspora?
Well, our visits started last year, and we did Houston, Chicago, New York, and Miami. And then in January, we were to do LA, which is the biggest area for the diaspora. And now we have about, they say officially, about 350 to 400,000 Belizeans living internationally, especially in the United States. LA has about 200,000, but if you take first generation, second generation, third generation, then you're talking somewhere around 700,000, 750,000. So we have a lot of Belizeans all over the place. So we were, again, that's a part of the connecting process, or having a meaningful dialogue with people in the diaspora, hearing their concerns. As now we have an entire unit that is geared towards catering to the diaspora. So if they have land issues, if they have a birth paper issue, if they have an issue, we try to lend some support and to try to show that we're serious about having that connection with the diaspora. And yes, the meetings have went well. LA was wonderful. Las Vegas, I didn't know there were so many Belizeans living in Las Vegas. Actually, I met quite a few of my old friends out there who have moved from California and other parts of the United States and are now residing in Las Vegas. And we will continue to do more. We look forward to going to Tampa and Atlanta in the next few months. Those two areas we want to do probably by June or so.
As the area representative for Pigstock, can you tell us about what developments have been happening there, and are there any that you are especially proud of?
Well, to me, Pigstock has been a constituency that has been forgotten for a long time, and we always have to focus on people. And so during COVID, especially, we had to try to help as many people as possible battle through the ravages of COVID. And many weren't working, and so they couldn't pay their bills, they couldn't put food on the table, and so through that 15 months or so since we've gotten into government, the main focus was trying to help people get through this COVID pandemic as best as possible. Now the focus is on improving the quality of life overall in the Pigstock division. So we're doing the infrastructure part of it, so improving streets, which is also creating employment opportunities for a lot of people in the neighborhoods. We're looking to do the Mahogany Street corridor, which is an exciting program because you have so many booths out there. You have about 30 booths out there, and they need some level of upliftment. And we're going to do all of them, plus provide some level of support in terms of buying new equipment, training. And so what we have a fancy word for it, a gastronomy hub, but now a food hub, right? A food and other things that you can get out there. It's just a hub where hopefully we can improve the standards out there and raise the level. And so we get people from all across Belize, as well as some tourists going out there to buy whatever they need. Okay. In terms of Pigstock also, it's not in Pigstock specifically, but it's right on the border, and more people from Pigstock go and play there. So Burja Field is a project that we're working on. Hopefully it's completed by December or the first quarter of 2023. We're also working on what we call change agent builders, and we've rented this compound right by the Belcan Bridge, and we're going to build 2 factories there, a woodwork factory and a soap, facial products, shampoo, conditioner product for women. And so we want to provide that type of product to the tourism industry. So I'm tired of seeing hecha in Mexico or made in China or made in hecha in Guatemala. I think the more we make here in Belize, we should try to raise the standards and have it being sold in our gift shops and being used in our hotels and restaurants and all that. So that's an exciting program that we're working on. And we're working on another program for women and young girls, the Hope Center for Women and Young Girls, led by Miss Julian Mortis and a couple other women who are going to work in there to provide some level of support for women and young girls in the Pigstock division. And we have quite other program, the Mundialito that I said will start in May, and then we'll do a basketball tournament in June and July. And so the goal is to uplift people and uplift the infrastructure in the division as well, so people can feel that they are a part of a decent way of life. And that's how you build communities. You build one neighborhood or one home at a time, then one neighborhood at a time. We're also working on the housing program.
The housing program?
Yeah. So we have our goal is to try to build at least 20 to 25 homes within the next year. And we have a home improvement program that we're going to roll out within the coming weeks. And so people who don't need a home and who already have a home, but the home needs some improvement, we're going to try to do as many as possible. And we've allocated the resources already, and we're ready to go.
Right. Big developments for Pigstock.
Yes, ma'am.
So going back to the diaspora, the Ministry of Tourism has recently been exploring a marketing tactic targeted to Belizeans living abroad that are coming here to experience life as a tourist. Can you talk to me a little bit more about that? How did that come up? What was the inspiration for it?
Well, during COVID, we saw how important the Belizean market is, whether it's locally or internationally. And so we initiated this program called the Belizean Traveler, geared towards marketing towards Belizeans, like I said, in Belize and internationally. And if you have a natural connection to Belize. It's easier for you to get on a plane and come, or drive, or get on a boat and sail into Belize, or wherever, come on a cruise ship. And so we believe that with that 350,000 built up to now, probably 750, 800,000, that's a captive audience for us already. And it is a no-brainer for us to expend a little bit of resources to go after those people, to target them, to say, come home. We are waiting for you to provide the best level of service possible. There is so much you can experience in Belize, and just come enjoy your home away from home now.
You mentioned the upgrades being done to Mahogany Street as a, what did you say? Gastronomy
hub. Or gastronomic corridor.
Okay. Is it catered just to food tourism, or is it going to be...
No.
Okay.
You have people who are involved with vegetables and fruits, and you have barbers, you have beauticians, and all of these things are out there. But we just want to have a safe and beautiful environment out there that people can come and feel comfortable to experience what Belize City is. I believe Mahogany Street and a few other streets are you can feel the pulse of Belize City. And so if you improve the infrastructure and improve the training and improve the mindset of our people out there, and the people who go out there, and the people who live around there, then your work is easier for it to be maintained and for it to be more economically beneficial to the people who have invested out there already.
We did talk a bit about the international airport and how upgrades are being made, and you want to bring in new airlines into the country.
Yes.
But could you tell us about what upgrades have been done to the land borders, the northern and the western?
Well, just to add, there's a private company running the airport, the day-to-day operations of the airport. As I understand it, they will invest some significant monies into the upliftment of the airport. We are doing our part, and they're a part of that process as well, to attract new airlines into Belize. I believe that we're going to get some additional routes into the country going forward. I believe that strongly that we can get a transatlantic flight, a European flight. In the coming weeks ahead of us, I go to Europe with a delegation from Belize to court and to pitch our position to some important airlines. And so hopefully within the next year or two, we can have that elusive first European flight into Belize, which would be big for us. I believe when you get the first, then it's easier to get the second and the third, right? But you asked about the Border Management Authority. What we found there was an extreme mess from an infrastructure standpoint and from a management standpoint. There were no systems in place. The infrastructure was in a decrepit state. And so we've had to spend an inordinate amount of time building back that institution. And I believe we're almost there. Within the next 6 months or so, I think we'll be where we need to be going forward. For 20% of the people who come to Belize overnight come through the borders. And so it's a first impression that they get, and it has to be a good one for the tourism industry. Even the many Belizeans who travel to Guatemala and to Mexico, we want them to have a good experience. And then you have the border management facility down in Punta Gorda and one in San Pedro. So all of those facilities have had, the San Pedro one wasn't too bad. I guess because the former minister was from San Pedro, so he made sure that was maintained properly. But all the others were in a serious level of disrepair, from, like I said, from a human resource standpoint and from an infrastructure standpoint. And we've had to invest significantly to rebuild that organization.
When we spoke about product development, you mentioned infrastructure and our natural beauty that we have here in the country. But could you tell us about the human aspect of it?
Very important. Many of the people who come to Belize say that the interaction with our people has been a good one for them. In fact, it's a great experience for the most part. And so if we want to take Belize to the next level, we have to ensure that our tourism frontline people especially are trained at a high level and have the adequate skills necessary to embrace the world. And so it is important for us to train, and train again. And we want to do this by investing in the first ever tourism training institute here in Belize to deal with the frontline issues, to deal with back office issues. And so we're going to partner with the private sector as well as the Ministry of Education to push this agenda forward. We believe that we can get it done before the end of this year, if not early 2023 as well.
Well, that's very exciting because currently there are different programs you can enter regarding the tourism industry, but there's not a facility you can go to.
No, so if you want to get an experience or training in the culinary arts, where do you go in Belize? And so these are the things that we want to invest in.
So there was some backlash when cruises were allowed back into the country. Is there anything you have to say in regards to that? What would you say to the people that had those concerns?
Well, there was a backlash for when the airport was opened, and if you had looked at the numbers of positive cases coming through the airport, it was minuscule, minimal. The spread in Belize was happening as a result of what we were doing here in Belize, not as a result of importing COVID per se. The same thing with cruise. The protocols on the cruise ships are among the best in the world in terms of safety, and they don't want to be liable for any body's health issues, and so they put some serious measures in place for them to be able to manage the spread of COVID on any itinerary or any voyage. And so, yes, I understand the frustration and the concern by certain people, but we were dealing with the facts and we were dealing with the information that we had in front of us, and we at that time believed that we were making the right decision. And the same thing, we were criticized by certain quarters for opening the land borders and the seaports, and I think all of those things have proven to be the betterment in terms of the development of the economy.
Can you tell us about what further developments have been happening within the cruise tourism industry? Are there any new ports that are being considered?
Well, as you've heard the noise out there, there are three principals looking at three different locations for ports. We have the one down in Harvest Key, just off Placencia, that was built by Norwegian. But the sizes of the ships being built right now are increasing significantly. And so the cruise lines have expressed to us that they will, sooner rather than later, they will bypass Belize if we don't have a docking facility, because they're not too interested in tendering. And so government is to create an enabling environment where the private sector can thrive. This is a good example. We have three principals looking to develop ports. The Stake Bank project is well on its way, so hopefully that project can come on stream sooner rather than later, so that we can be tied into the itineraries that are being built now over the next 18 months or 24 months. If we miss it, then we have to wait until the next itinerary development cycle. And so right now, the Stake Bank project is crucial for us to get more cruise lines to come into Belize to build the numbers. And actually, the number of cruise lines should go down, but the number of people should go up, because the ships are becoming a lot bigger. Again, now I want to wish all of them well. Obviously, three ports can't survive in Belize, and so these principals would have to do their own due diligence to see if it makes sense to put in $150 million, $200 million, $300 million, whatever it is, in the ground, and not having the guaranteed backing of any of the cruise lines. But like I said, government is to create an enabling environment for them to do their due diligence and to, if they see fit, invest without any drama per se.
The government of Belize has announced a fuel subsidy. Could you go into more detail about that?
So as we all know, the cost of fuel has gone up to around $13.50. This has created undue hardship for many Belizeans, whether you are in the tourism industry, any of the productive sector. And so what we're trying to do is to create a subsidy program for tourism, transportation, and other important sectors of the economy, for us to be able to take some of the brunt of the cost of fuel and take it away from the productive sector. So government is going to come in as a partner and provide some level of support for those sectors of the economy that need desperate are in need of desperate support at this time.
Could you tell us about the Build Belize program?
As a part of the development of the diaspora unit, what we've done is to register a 501c3 organization in the United States where people can use that as a vehicle to donate money, computers, medical supplies, and they could have tax write-off in the United States. It's called Build Belize. I want to ask everybody to support Build Belize. It is important. To date, in fact, the last year we have already gotten $1 million worth of supplies, whether it be laptops or medical supplies or food supplies that have gone all throughout the country. Health supplies, very important, like masks and hand sanitizers and Lysol and all these things we've sent to schools all across the country. So Build Belize is doing a great job in tandem with the diaspora unit to reach out to people all across the world and for them to give back to Belize.
Can you tell us about your collaboration with the Ministry of Infrastructure and Development in regards to the upgrading of roads to popular tourist sites?
So the guys over at Infrastructure Development have supported me, the Honorable Julissa Spot, Mr. Victor Espat and their team over there have supported the tourism industry tremendously over the last 15 months or so. Actually, we've worked in tandem with the private sector to do the Hopkins Road, the Cahalpech Road, the road leading to Acton to Nichil Moknal. We want to also do the road leading to Alton Ha and to the northern part of San Pedro and to the airstrip in Kikaker. We have some other programs that we want to work on with them as well. We're looking at the road to Lobantun and some other infrastructural work. Infrastructure is so critical to the tourism product. I can't underscore it enough. I can't stress it enough that you can have the world's second largest barrier reef. You can have the Great Blue Hole, 3 of the 4 atolls in this region. You can have abundance of flora and fauna, the diversity of our people. But if we don't have the infrastructure to support them, the tourism experience won't be at the level that they should be. And so we were blessed with wealth untold, like the anthem says, but the infrastructure has been lagging. So we need to improve the airports. We need to have a docking facility. We need to improve our roadways. We need to improve our transportation systems, whether by air, sea, or land. All of these things, we need to continuously train our people to provide a level of service to our visitors, whether they're Belizeans or foreigners. And so infrastructure is very, very important to the overall tourism product in our nation. And I can't thank the fellows over at Infrastructure Development enough. They understand this. So I don't have to call twice for any major initiative that we need to undertake. They will, and they are there to provide that level of support.
All right, well, that brings us to the end of our show. Thank you so much, Minister Mahler, for being here. Really appreciate having you on.
Well, I want to thank you for having me on. It was a pleasure for me to share some of the initiatives that we're working on in the Ministry of Tourism and Diaspora Relations. In fact, I would like to invite the team one of these days to go on one of the farm trips that we have when we have people from abroad coming in to learn about Belize and to write about Belize. So I want to invite you guys to experience that. Even when we go to one of the trade shows to get behind the scenes, tourism is a 24/7, 365 industry. And so it has to have a lot of commitment from a lot of people. And a lot of people have invested significantly. So I want to invite you all to learn more about the industry. It's not just traveling and drinking wine and eating filet mignon and that type of thing. It's a lot of hard work, but it is one of the most dynamic industries that I've been around.
Okay. Well, thank you for the invite. We're definitely going to take you up on that. And again, thank you for being on the show.
Sure. Thank you too.